Hello, ladies and gents. Good afternoon or good evening, I should probably say. Recording live here straight after the game at 5 o'clock, where the game has just finished at the Hawthorns. West Bromwich Albion 0, Millwall 0. Today, we're going to talk a bit about the game, and then we're also going to talk a bit about September and do a bit of a September review towards the latter part of the show. But I'm going to introduce the panel for this evening's show. First of all, I knew I'd do it the wrong way around. That way. To my left, my right, I don't know. Paul, how you doing, mate?
Afternoon, mate. Yeah, I'm all good. All good. Good point. So I'm happy.
Yeah, definitely. And just below, George, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. Happy with that. Obviously, we'll get into the game a little bit more, but yeah, I'm pleased.
It's a good point, isn't it? It's a good point. And good evening and good to all of the listeners. So there's a couple of comments already coming in. Gary says, well done, Wolves, some great defending today. A good point at a top 6 team. And Lions Raw says, just walking out, Danny Mack, man of the match by a mile. And of course, Danny Chappelle also agrees with that. Great to see Danny Mack back in the side. So let's talk a little bit about the game then. George, I'll come to you first, mate. Like, just tell me your thoughts on the game. It felt like we went back to basics, and it was quite representative, I think, of the 13 games under Neil Harris last season. But good to get your thoughts, mate.
Yeah. Well, I think firstly, I thought it was a very good defensive performance. I think we frustrated West Brom. We restricted them mainly second half, but throughout the game, really, we restricted them to very, very little. And there was a few standout performances within the back four for me. Obviously, Neil Harris had to rotate. I think we all knew that, and he did rotate before the game with his starting lineup. But I say I've walked away with that, and I'm very pleased with a point where I said before the game I would have snapped your hand off for a draw, and we've gone there and we've kept a clean sheet. So I'm happy. It was a different type of performance as we might have seen in recent weeks. It's very much of like the old Millwall under Neil Harris. But say you can't discredit a point away at the Hawthorns, and we had to do what we had to do, and we've came away with a good result in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that Danny Mack, I think it was the first couple of minutes, he put in a tackle. Straight away, you could hear the fans singing, he's one of our own, and it just kind of set the tone, I feel. It was perfect for what we needed against Fellows. He's quality. He's gonna end up being a Premier League player, I think, at some point. But he didn't do anything special today, and I think, yeah, that shows a lot of how well Danny Mack played. And just everyone just did their job, didn't they? I think it just reaffirms my thoughts that we are a very, very good team when we don't have the ball.
I'd say first off, we barely got out our half, did we? Really? I mean, I think the possession stats read 19% possession for us, but it just shows without the ball, we're very determined. We grit. We're very hard working. And then second half, the game opened up a little bit, but we haven't seen much of the ball. We haven't had many spells of possession at all in that game, really. Which shows that we can go both ways, but we are certainly better, like Paul said, without the ball, I think.
Yeah, I also think, did they really create a proper clear-cut chance? I don't think they did. I would argue the best chance of the game, and I caveat that I didn't see the first 21 minutes because
there was one before you see it, before you managed to get on. Josh Madger, he had one chance. Fellows pulled it. They put a blinding ball inside Danny Mack. Fellows pulled it back and Madger blazed it over. But that aside, mate, yeah, there was nothing, was there?
No, there wasn't. But I'll tell you what, there is a Mr. Zampa just joining the show. Good evening, Joe. How you doing, mate?
Hello, gang. Apologies. The traffic from West Brom was a nightmare. I literally just got back just now. But good. How are you all doing? You're good?
Yeah, we are good,
I think
we are good.
Are we happy? Are we thumbs up, thumbs down, sideways? What's the mood like?
I'm happy. I mean, don't get me wrong. First half, until about the last 5 minutes of it, I think I was a bit like, come on. But you can't knock a point. They're a good side, and especially after the other day, I feel like before we got, I think is it 4 games out of 5 at home coming up? So yeah, what more can you ask?
I think I agree. I think it's a good point, and you put that in context of the performance on Tuesday night, which was, not very good. I agree with Alex here as well that I mean, obviously, caveat, I didn't see that chance you talked about, Paul, but Aziz should be scoring that, right? And that would have been really representative of the form to the back end of last season, where we were winning games 1-0, right? And all that missed today was a goal. How do you think that we had good shape, and that's what Danny Chappelle says there. We had really, really good shape. Do you think that we've drawn against a side there that will be in the top 6 come the end of the season, or do you think that they may be in a false position at the minute?
I think so. I think mainly, I think their best asset is probably their manager. I think you saw today. I think they play some really nice free-flowing football at times. West Brom, they keep a lot of the ball, of course, but I think West Brom have got the firepower in the attacking third. They've got a striker and they've got 2 very tricky wingers. In don't get me wrong, we kept them quiet today, and Mikey Johnston and Tom Fellows. But I think in terms of that top 6, I think they'll definitely be up there.
Yeah. I love the game plan of just let Bartley have the ball as well. I thought that was you could just see Harris has done it, because Honeyman, when he was shutting people down, he literally was stopping him, passing it back. So it was basically saying to Bartley, go on and you carry it forward. I just thought it was clever, because it's like doing that when other teams do that to Coops. That when he's not comfortable doing it. So yeah, it was a good game plan.
I don't know if you mentioned it already. I also missed the first 5-7 minutes, but there was almost like elements of last season. There's those 13 games where it's like very, be compact, be hard to beat, very organised.
Is he taking the piss?
Have you?
He's watched
mentioned
it,
that, did you?
Only twice.
Did you really? Sorry, I was just parking the car when you were saying that. But no, it was that, wasn't it? It was very much that way. And I think having Danny McNamara back in at left back, straight away you knew how we were going to set up. And I was listening to a feed, and it was a West Brom feed, and they were so frustrated, the 2 guys commentating, the West Brom guys, and they kept talking about how resilient Millwall were, how compact, how well organised were, and they complimented our fullbacks and saying how our fullbacks got the better of their wingers all game. And that was a compliment, to Danny Max. He hasn't played for goodness how long, and I think he had a bit of cramp at the end, didn't he, before going off. So very, very, very good performance, and I did feel slightly more relaxed and easier and more happier the closer we got to the final whistle. First half and throughout second half, I'm thinking I'm not enjoying this. But as you're getting closer, at 90 minutes, you're thinking, right, I can see the light in the tunnel. But no, good performance. I would definitely took a point before the game anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely more glass half full. I think it's just frustrating. We've got a point in 2 games now. You can look at it another way. And so only 1 point from 2 games. We haven't scored a goal in 2. We still haven't won away from home. So there's, I think it's a balance, to be honest. But I think it was really important to not go into the international break losing today. And I think, to be honest, that would have been one of Neil Harris's messages. One message that I want to ask you boys about that Neil Harris certainly sent today was dropping Joe Bryan. And we're talking about Danny Mack there. He was superb and arguably man of the match. But what did you boys make of the fact that Joe Bryan was dropped?
First of all, I think you must be listening to our live the other day. I'm not saying that we threw him under the bus, Joe Bryan, but we weren't particularly sort of backing him. And why should we? He had a bit of a horror, didn't he, against Cardiff with this defensive display. So going away to West Brom, I wouldn't have fancied starting Joe Bryan. I think he looked quite low on confidence defensively. I think he's still a little bit suspect. So I think that was a right call for me. I don't know what you guys think. What you guys thought?
Yeah, it was perfect for the game. We had 2 of Leonard and Danny Mack, our best one-on-one defenders, against 2 quality wingers. And it wouldn't surprise me if Joe Bryan come back in after. Like I said, we've got 4 out of the next 5 home games. So I don't think although Joe Bryan was shocking from the corner, I don't feel it was punishing him in a way. I think it suited Danny Mack for this game. And then when we're at home, I suppose you don't know. You change the team or not? I suppose that'll be for a pod nearer the time.
I think I would. I'll get Joe back in. I don't know about you guys, but
yeah.
I'd
definitely have Bryan back in, say the Derby game after the international break. But I thought Danny Mack was brilliant today. Obviously, people forget he's naturally a right back. I know he played left back a lot last season, but the game suited him, like Paul said, and I thought he kept Tom Fellows, who's been one of the standout players in the league this season, got 5 assists. I thought we kept him quiet. Leonard as well on the other side. I thought our two fullbacks were brilliant today.
Yeah, and I think that it's my personal take, and any West Brom fans listening to this, just my point of view on West Brom. I think they're actually quite a slow mover of the ball. I don't think there's for me, they have one way of playing, which is to get the ball wide, right? And if you can keep those full wing backs quiet and allow them to have possession in the areas that you're happy to let them have it. To Paul's point earlier with Bartley, and I think that was our game plan today. And having arguably two of the best one-on-one defenders in the league, in my opinion, in Danny Mack and Ryan Leonard, they may not offer a lot else going forwards, particularly Danny Mack on that left-hand side where we know he wants to cut in. But that was the game plan, I guess, and then just try and get up the pitch. And obviously one of those players that gets us up the pitch was Aziz, getting his first start today. What do you boys make of Aziz? How did you think, obviously the miss, but what do you think of his overall performance?
He didn't excite me, I'll be honest. Like, I wasn't looking at it thinking, wow, like, this is the player we all hoped and wished for. But you know what? It was a different kind of game. I don't know what the possession stats were. I'm sure you know what they are, Chris. But I'd be surprised we had more than 20, 20, 24%, 25% possession. And what he did for me is he tracked back a lot. Like, he was up and down, and he did a lot of defensive work for us. Didn't offer us a lot going forward. And then straight away, as soon as SA switched over to the right side, you see a bit more of an outlet. Yeah, with SA, not a huge amount more, but enough to sort of show the quality that he's got. So for me, I think he's still learning. I think we've got to try and get that confidence up with him and get him in positions where I think he's more effective. It seems like his strengths are cutting inside and shooting. I don't recall him doing that much today. But then again, we didn't get much possessions or create many chances. I don't know what you guys thought.
Yeah, it was just a type of performance. I think it was. You could put anyone in there, and if it was all about just discipline. Sorry, mate, it's come off my screen. Yeah, just a disciplined performance, and I feel like it don't matter if you had Fellows, if you had SA was a little bit quiet, but he did a great job defensively, and we didn't really see Aziz put in one cross, didn't he? Which looked like he pinged it across, and the defender headed it away quite well, to be fair. And then he had a hole in his foot for the chance. But yeah, that aside, we didn't see much of him, did we?
Yeah, I thought it was difficult for him today. So like Joe said, it wasn't a game where we had bundles of the ball. We've barely had any real spells of possession, and none of the attackers really got into the game at all. So it was difficult for him. But saying that, like Paul just said, he has arguably had our best chance of the game, and he scuffed it, unfortunately. But I think Aziz is a confidence player. I think he needs regular minutes, regular starts to build his confidence up. And it was difficult for him today. He was never really in the game.
George, what do you think? Sorry, go on, you go.
I was going to say, funny enough, if you actually look last year, he was shocking for Reading until about November. And then he scored something like 8 or 9 in 20 games. So it might just be one of them players where it takes him a bit of time to get up to speed. And then obviously he's going up a level as well. Yeah.
You've got to remember he is young.
And then you can see he's raw still, can't you? He's still not quite a finished article. Also, like, I felt by us trying to shoehorn Aziz in today, it was almost like to the detriment of SA. Like, I'm not saying he played terribly, but he didn't really do much on that left side. It's definitely not his strongest point. But then I don't know what you do. Personally, I would have much rather seen Honeyman play on the left side today, put SA in the 10, and then stick Aziz in his most comfortable position, which is where he played today on the right hand side. But I just felt that by getting Aziz in, it was to the detriment of SA. I don't know what you guys thought about that, but I just didn't see him involved in the game in any kind of attacking, capacity at all. I don't know what you guys thought.
Yeah, Joe, I'll jump in there. I disagree with putting Honeyman on the left. I think we've now seen that Honeyman is so crucial to the way we press, particularly in games where, we had 21% possession today, which is...
Oh, was it that low?
Yeah.
I was being generous at 24, weren't I?
We had 21% possession today. They had almost 700 passes. At the end of the day, this is all stats that are bollocks, because it only matters where you have that possession and where you have the passes and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, the point being, I think, is when you're playing against a very heavy possession-based side, I think Honeyman has to play in the 10 because he sets the tone of the press. But I agree with you that I think obviously SA was the one that had to shift in order to fit Aziz onto the right hand side. Just going to say hello to a few people in the chat, a couple of friends of the show. So Ozcan, good evening, gents. Good point in defensive display today. Completely agree with you, mate. Very much so. Another good friend of the show, Jeff, evening. Chris, Paul, George, half full point that. Completely agree. And we've also got a few people like Morales heading back from Albion now. Let's take a point any day. Don't know what you lads thought, but I could only hear one set of fans.
Even the commentators, the West Brom commentators were saying about how flat the West Brom fans were. And they only really got behind, I think, the last 10, 15 minutes when they were really pushing for that winner, weren't they, quite late on? But they were very flat. And that was great for us. The fact that they were quiet shows, we basically nullified them, didn't we? We didn't get anything to cheer about. And also, the commentators were saying about how they didn't create any chances, and how Jensen didn't have really any saves to make. Now, I'm not saying that their keeper was under the cosh, but we created a few more chances, I think, than they did. I think Ivanovic had a couple of headers. Okay, they were a bit weak headers, but they were still on target. I'll be interested to see what our XG would be, because I'm pretty sure with 21% possession, I reckon we had a higher XG than they did, especially with that Buddy Aziz chance at that final post.
Bold statement. Yeah, well, I don't think the XG's ready yet, but as soon as it is, I'll keep checking it, and we'll come back to it.
I had a look before I come on. It's very minimal. It was like they had 0.68 and ours was 0.58 or something. It was something like that. I haven't got my phone on me, otherwise I'd get it up. It's on SofaScore.
Yeah,
but there was nothing in it really.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know whether that Aziz chance was more guilty of missing than it looked. I mean, it looked like it's a chance he should have put away, almost like a side foot. But I guess being a left-footed player, that might have suited a right-footed player to like side foot that at the back post. I don't know what you guys think about that, but it just seemed for me it was a bad miss.
Great ball though, wasn't it?
Oh, for
Langsdorff, after the one he put in with his right foot against Cardiff, which hasn't yet landed. But the fact he managed to ping one in on his left foot to him.
Oh, I thought he done brilliantly. And it wasn't just like him getting the ball crossing it. He had to work his way to the byline, didn't he? Get that ball in. And I'm really impressed with Langsdorff. I don't know what you guys think about him, but I just thought, every game he's looking more and more comfortable, getting better. He's developing. He's almost adapting to our style, I mean,
dare I say it?
Sorry, go on, mate.
Sorry, mate. Dare I say it? It reminds me a bit of Jamie Vardy. In terms of the way he plays. And I think if we just don't play that way, unfortunately, particularly, but I think he's got that kind of end of sort of playing on the shoulder. He is deceptively quick, I think. I really like him. A player that worries me, though, a little bit, and this might be a slightly controversial opinion, but that's what we're here for, is Jensen.
Okay.
Let me explain. So let me explain. So I'm not bothered by he's kicking. That doesn't bother me at all. I'm not bothered by his shot stopping. I think his shot stopping is pretty good, and I think his reactions are pretty good. But his decision making / confidence have come in for things. There was a couple of times today where he come out for a free kick, and it was only because Bartley headed it back away from goal. There was another time that I think he went for the ball and Cooper headed it away. He just doesn't command for someone who's 6'6". And look, he hasn't cost us anything, so I'm not here slagging him off. I'm just saying that he concerns me a little bit. I don't know what you boys think.
I mean, how old is Jensen now? How old? Anyone know how old he is?
26, I think.
25. I mean, that's still quite young as a keeper. The difficult thing is we're always going to make comparisons between him and Matty Sarkic, and bless him. And you just know that, okay, Sarkic had a very sort of quiet intro, didn't he, to his Millwall start with us. He didn't completely win the fans over, but he did over a dozen or so games it took him. But one thing that Sarkic used to do very, very well, I thought, was commanding his area and coming out for crosses, and he had great hands, and you felt safe, didn't you? With that. And whether that's an area that he needs to really adapt on and be a bit more braver with his decision making, I think I agree with you. I think that there's certainly improvement there for Jensen, but he looks assured. I like his footwork. His positioning sense is really good. The way he sets himself up, he's very balanced. And I think even Lincoln fans on your show, Chris, the podcast, said about how great he is as a shot stopper. And that is his strength. But maybe he needs to develop a bit more, and he's still got time. He's still young, you know. I don't know what you guys think, but yeah, I'm not overly concerned with him, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, without adding much more, like there's nothing more I can really add to what you guys are saying. I just kind of agree. I want to like him, and I've got a feeling he's going to come good. But like Sarkic, where he kind of started a bit slow, and then by the end of the season, obviously, he was a lot better. I'm hoping it comes with him as well, because he does what he worries the defence. You can tell.
Yeah, I mean, was Bart a commanding goalkeeper? I mean, Bart was a great shot stopper. I don't recall him being someone who's come out for crosses and win balls from the air. Like, he wasn't that sort of keeper, was he? And I think he done a pretty decent job for us. Maybe we've been a little bit, you know, overcritical with him. I don't know. Maybe again, I think where Sarkic should set the barrier so high, didn't he? Yeah, you're always going to make comparisons, and I think to your point, Chris, I think you're probably looking at that thinking, yeah, he's doing well, but is he as good as Sarkic? You know, and the quick answer is probably no at this stage. But
yeah, to be fair though, I remember when we were younger, they say don't judge a keeper by the amount of mistakes he makes. He hasn't made too many. I just think, like you say, when it was Bart had a highlight reel. You're talking, there was 2 saves a match where he shouldn't be saving it. So I suppose we've been blessed with some good keepers and some shocking ones that just got 3-year deals at Norwich. But
I just saw that as well.
Yeah.
That was bizarre.
Super agent, mate.
I know.
Super agent.
I looked through their comments on the Norwich Twitter feed or X feed, and there was hardly any Norwich fans happy about it. It's just like, okay, you know,
it must be like a reduced salary or something. Like that's it's such a random contract re-signing at a random time. It's got to be like he's getting the same salary over a longer period or something.
Maybe, but there's more Millwall fans commenting on that feed than Norwich fans, ironically, you know.
David says, sitting on a plane waiting for takeoff. Well, listen, mate, enjoy your holidays wherever you're going. George, do you just want to sum up quick 60 seconds for David to tell him how well we played?
Defensively, I thought it was a great performance. I think we restricted West Brom to very little. We didn't really have any outlet, especially in the first half. We were sort of just knocking it along hopelessly, almost to Langstaff, who almost had nothing. He was no fault of his own. He just had little to work off, unfortunately. But say the defending was very good. Unfortunately, we just didn't really have any outlet, and we were playing for set pieces. It was sort of a Millwall performance of last season, I would say, towards the back end, where we would grind out results and defensively would look really good. But say off the back of a 0-0, and we frustrated a good West Brom side to literally nothing. You know, you would have snapped your hand off for that before the game. And I thought specifically, I thought Leonard, I thought Danny McNamara, and I thought Jake Cooper at the back for us. Tanganga, of course, as we know, was good as well. But those 3 for me, I think, were our standout players.
George, I think Tanganga had an excellent game against Josh Maja, what his name is.
Kept him
like he did, didn't he?
On 72, Joe. Do you remember that where Magic was put through and he come out and he just sort of took all the pace off the ball?
Yeah. He made such a huge difference. And also going back to Jensen as well, he's got to be pleased with a clean sheet. The first clean sheet in 5 games. First clean sheet since Sheffield Wednesday game. We won 3-0. So that
we was go on, sorry, just to interrupt. We was obviously on the subject of Jensen just a minute ago. And say I think the reason why we've walked away with a clean sheet there is because Jensen's not really had much to do. He's not really had much to save, and I think that's because of how good the defence was. And I'd like to point out Jake Cooper specifically because he didn't have a great game midweek against Cardiff. He sometimes it's these hopeless diagonals out of touch sometimes, and he's just got that in his game, doesn't he, Cooper? But today I thought he was brilliant. I thought every free kick, every set piece which was in the box, it was Cooper's head on it every single time. And he got a lot of stick midweek, but I think credit where it's due. I think Cooper was brilliant today.
And also to add to your point there, George, as well, that 92nd, 93rd minute free kick edge of our box, when that ball comes in, you want Jake Cooper in our defence, and he cleared that header out, didn't he? And it's such a relief. Think, you know what? With all the shit and stick he gets sometimes, fuck me, like we're so much better off having him in that 11, in that team, in that back 4, than not having him. Because it's times like that you need him clearing our lines, don't you? And he's so good in the air.
And only one stupid free kick given away today, which was soft as well. So hopefully, less of the pushing and
Well, that's
one of you boys might know this. Have we ever got a penalty for Cooper being fouled ever.
No,
No.
I don't think so. If we did, it's probably like years ago, too long that I can remember.
Look,
How about his shirt ripped off?
Yeah,
Jesus Christ, that was like Hulk Hogan, WWE, whatever, wasn't it? It's like literally, yeah, that's terrible. But again, no free kick given against us there.
No.
Like, we're defending a free kick. The guy's literally pulling his shirt off him. The ref can see it, but no free kick given. You know?
Yeah.
no.
What is the ruling though? I mean, does anyone know that? I mean, surely like you can't grab someone's shirt with if you're defending a free kick and pull them by their shirt. That's a foul or a penalty, isn't it? But it seems like it happens to Jake Cooper every single game that we get a corner or free kick or whatever in their box. They will literally grab his shirt and pull him, but yet nothing happens. Unless the rules change there somewhat, I'm sure one time you pull someone's shirt, that's a penalty.
It happens. It happens every week, doesn't it? It happens every single week. We're digressing here, but it just bugs me. That's all.
I don't know.
Right. I just wanted to close out the West Brom game before we go on to the September end of month review. Alex says that officially our best player based on SofaScore was Lenny with an 8.2 rating. But I just wanted to ask you boys who you would pick as your man of the match for today's game.
Oh, God.
I like Danny Mac, but just because he's coming out of the cold and to come up against it, I think Velo's their best player. So I'd say Danny Mac for me.
But ask the listeners as well. Put it in the chat, guys. Who you think was man of the match?
Good question. I'll give it to Danny Mac as well. I think just for the fact he's had to come in, it's not an easy game to come into to do a good defensive job. Okay, he doesn't offer us huge amounts going forward, but I felt that he was good with his distribution. He was getting on the ball, playing little balls through the lines when he could. So for me, I'll give him man of the match.
Yeah. For me, it's
sorry, George. Sorry, but honourable mentions for Tanganga, Cooper, Lenny, of course.
Yeah. For me, it's a toss-up really between both fullbacks because I thought they kept Mikey Johnston and Tom Fellows extremely quiet, restricted them to nothing, and they're their two main creative outlets on those wings. So for me, it's a toss-up between either, but I'm going to be different, and I'm going to say Ryan Leonard on the other side, just because you've always said Danny Mac. But I thought the whole back four say was brilliant, but I'll go with Ryan Leonard today.
Isn't it funny, George, when you see Ryan Leonard, normally 10 times out of 10, he stops that winger getting a ball in, doesn't he, normally? But today, there was like once or twice. I think it was Fellows when Fellows switched flanks. He did get past him. Was it Dobbin, I think, got past him a couple of times?
Dobbin did. He got the booking as well, didn't he, just by sort of stepping a bit too aggressively.
That's right. And you look at that and you think to yourself, like, shit, like he is human after all. Do you know what I mean? When someone actually does him or beats him. But it didn't happen a lot, thankfully. But I thought it was still great today.
Yeah. I think it's look, I think whether you go with Danny Mac, Brian Leonard, it was someone in the back four, probably one of the fullbacks. I think we can safely say that. So yes, so look, I think we go into the international break now with a good hard fought point. I would imagine that took a lot out of the players, particularly with the travelling to go to Cardiff and then go to West Brom. And we are a small squad as it is, we're carrying injuries every single time. Interestingly, we actually played the only side in the league today with a higher average age. So maybe that's something to do with the pace of the game. But anyway, we are now going to switch gears and we're going to do a bit of a September review. So we did this for August. So all of the lads that are involved in the podcast, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's many 10 of them. 10. 10 of us have placed our votes. And this is where we give out awards for, and obviously the award is just our verification. There is nothing else. For Goal of the Month, Player of the Month, Moment of the Month, and Opposition Player of the Month. So Goal of the Month was one where there was quite a few different answers, actually. So honourable mentions for Langstaff's first goal for Goal of the Month. I also didn't vote for the winner. I voted for Duncan Watmore's goal at QPR, as did Jesper. I don't know if Jesper's listening.
Ooh, a bit biased there.
But the winning goal of the month was Romain Esse's goal at home to Preston. So I believe all of you boys voted for that.
Great goal.
Talk to me a little bit about Romain and talk to me a bit about that goal.
Who wants to go first? Go on, is that you, Dan?
Go on.
Oh, sorry, Paul. Sorry.
That's all right. Call me whatever you want. I've been called worse.
I don't know who talks there. Sorry.
I just, for me, I just like the fact it was a quick counter attack. The ball when it breaks to Watmore, just the fact that it's like such with him, his first touch and his second touch, you don't know quite where they're going to go. But the fact he got the perfect weight on the ball to SA, and then he calmly rounds keeper. It's just not a goal you see at Millwall. We don't see it often. So yeah, him and the fact that at the minute I know everyone says he's our star boy, but he's just class, isn't he? And when you watch him in interviews, you can't help but like him. You've seen pictures of him when he's like a teenager playing for us. Just want him to do well.
Yeah,
and such a tight angle as well, wasn't it? Like the fact he went so wide, I thought, he's overrun this one, and to get it in the way he did from that angle, I mean, there's not many players that can do that.
I think the goal sort of reflects the way Neil Harris, obviously not so much today against West Brom, but it reflects the way Neil Harris wants to play. Is we get the ball up fast, we're quick, we like to, not so much a counter attack, but we get the ball up fast, quick. And that's how the goal came. Sorry, from I think it was the opposition's corner, wasn't it? And one pass, then another one from Watmore, the through ball, and he rounds the goalkeeper lovely and slots in for his first goal at the Den. So that's my reasoning, really.
Yeah. Well, you're wrong because the best goal was Duncan Watmore.
It was Joe's at the Den last season.
How many times is he going to bring that up? Honestly,
I know. You know, like he's like the old man at the party, isn't he? That just bangs on. Every time you see him, he tells you the same story, and you're like, oh, yeah.
just agree with him. Just agree with him. The 20-yard screamer, top bins. That was the one.
Well, I think Duncan Watmore was. So it was the goal. For me, it was a better team goal. A great ball from Leonard. Lovely run from Langstaff. Dummy by Honeyman. Bang. What a finish.
And the composure as well, Chris, wasn't it? The composure of it as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there we go. Moving on to the next one. Player of the month. So this one, did we even have anyone else pick? Yeah, we did. So out of the 10, we had 2 different people that got votes. So with 20% of the vote was George Honeyman, which I think is fair. But with 80% of the vote, we can continue to talk about him because, of course, it was Mr. Romain Esse winning Player of the Month for September. Just talk to him about Romain Esse. We just said there he's our star boy. Obviously, we're recording this straight after the West Brom game where he didn't really have much in the way of a sniff, but not many of our players did. But yeah, just talk to him about his progression from last season to this season.
I mean, I've said it before numerous times now on previous shows. For me, he's a boy that's now become a man. He's taken ownership. He realizes that he's no longer, a promising youngster or a fringe player. He is an integral part of this team. And if he wasn't in this team at the moment, we'll be massively weaker for it. And I just love it. I mean, he plays football the right way. Even today, which was, to his standards, a fairly poor performance from him because he didn't really do a lot. But you see those little touches and little tricks and flicks he does, and just the way he gets the ball and turns defenders and drives the ball and draws a foul and gets free kicks. He's such a delight to watch, but an important player for us to have in our team. And I think if he continues his development, we spoke about him moving on in the near future, and yes, it looks like it will happen in the next sort of season or two. But if he carries on playing like this, we're going to get big numbers for him, and it's going to be so good for us, in our longevity where we're trying to get to. So massive fan.
What do you think he's worth? Seriously,
at the moment, I think at the moment he's worth anywhere between 15 and 20 million. Personally, I think if you're paying Ruben 9-10 million for Zian Fleming at the moment, then I think he's worth more than Fleming. He's younger, just turned 19 years of age. He's an England international. Okay, he's under 19, under 20s, whatever. But He's got the world at his feet. He's only going to get better. He's got a great attitude. He's got great ability. He's got the abilities you can't teach a player. Yeah, he's not a manufactured player. This boy's talented. Yeah, he's got a gift. And for me, he will be playing the Premiership one day, whether it be with us or without us.
And
listeners, what do you
fact
think
that
he's worth?
got a grounding with us. The fact he's got a grounding with us as well. I think you can't take that away, because the type of team I can imagine he's going to go to, I don't think he's going to go straight to a Liverpool or anything like that. He's going to end up mid to lower Premier League team. And the fact that, like today, if you flip it and have him in a West Brom shirt today, he gets time on the ball and he's in possession and he's doing his tricks and stuff. He's literally just grafting, running around, not seeing the ball. He didn't stop. When, like you said, when he was on the ball, he was winning us free kicks and throw-ins, etc. He's just class. And if he's got both sides of the game, then there is no ceiling for him.
I think by the end of this campaign, I think his value will just skyrocket because of his age, because of the maturity, because of the little flicks and tricks he does. And of course, by the end of the campaign, he'll like to add to the number of goals and assists he's got already. So, yeah, I think this season, I know last season was probably his breakthrough season, but I think this season is the season where you would turn around and say, this is the season where I proper kick-started my career, because he's getting the regular start, starting every week. He wasn't getting that last season. He's starting every single week, and every single week he's our best player. He's a joy to watch, and I think we all just really want him to do well, because he's a good kid. He comes through the club academy, and ultimately he's one of our best assets. So, yeah.
Also, Chris, to your point, I make a lot of comparisons between him and Fabio Carvalho, who's at Fulham, went to Liverpool. Now, you compare the two. Carvalho was playing in a top team with Fulham, with a lot of possession, a lot of good players, allowed to express himself, play on the front foot, not to track back like Esse is. And he got the big move to Liverpool. Okay, hasn't quite worked out for him, but they've now sold him to Brentford for like 27.5 million. Now, if he's worth 27 million, God knows what Esse will be worth. Like, if you put Esse in a good team at the moment in this division and allow him to flourish, allow him to play forward and not have to defend as much as he has been doing, God knows what he could be worth,
I think it says a lot that I could pick a number of clubs and say that I think he could go into that team. I think he could play for Palace. I think he could play for Wolves. I think he could play for Brentford. I think he could walk into someone like Everton's team. Like, there's a number of teams, without even counting the ones that have just gone up, that genuinely I think he would walk into, because to some of the points already been raised, I think on the ball he's there, but he's off the ball work, which it's almost a bit of it's a blessing and a curse for him, because he's developing his all-round game by having to do that off the ball work, and you can tell he's come on leaps and bounds. I like your analogy, Joe, of boy to a man, but at the same time, he, by having to do that work, does it almost not put off potential suitors, but he's less allowed to flourish, because he is in a side that doesn't have possession and stuff like that. And I do think at times that limits our ability to bring players in or keep players, because I look at our style of play and it's not particularly attractive. True. I don't know what you boys think of that.
Yeah, excellent point. I think the only reason why Fleming got the sort of fee or size fee he got was because that first season where he got those numbers, with the assists and the goals, stuff like that. So I think a lot of attacking players are measured on goals or assists. And at the moment, there's not a lot to write home with Esse. I think he scored 2 or 3 this season, maybe one assist, I think, from memory. So yeah, but we see him week in, week out, don't we? And again, you talk about his transition and how he's evolved and developed. He's had to adapt his game. Yeah, he realizes to come to this Millwall side to play as a winger, you're gonna have to do your defensive duties. And it wasn't an area of his game that he was blessed with at first. So he had to kind of learn. He had to work hard, and he's had to put a shift in and track back. And there were times when he was getting 60, 70 minutes because he just couldn't quite do it. Whereas now, he gets 90 minutes most games. And that's what I'm saying. It's a compliment to what he gives us in our team and the job he's carrying out for us. And what's interesting as well is that you look at good teams like Palace or in the Premier League who are sniffing around at the moment, they realise that if you could do a job for Millwall, you could do a job for anyone. Because although he's blessed technically on the ball, he can do those areas which not many good players like doing.
Yeah.
The dirty work and the tracking, but he can do it, and he has to do it because he wouldn't be playing our team if he couldn't.
That's kind of what I was alluding to. Sorry, go on, Paul, mate.
As I say, don't forget as well, Palace paid 20 million for Adam Walton, who is playing CDM in a struggling Blackburn side. You could see was class.
Yeah.
But if the players have got enough about them, then there's no need to sell players cheap. And I do honestly believe that we won't do that anymore. Even with Fleming, I think that's a fair fee that we've got. I don't feel like we've undersold him. It's a bit gutting. It weren't as much as last year, but at the same time, he didn't look the same player last year. So
no. And also, I think we mentioned it in previous shows as well, how much better we are with Fleming not in that team. There's a lot more fluidity in our style. We're breaking quicker on the counter. I felt with Fleming in the past, he used to sort of slow us down a little bit. He won't take too many touches and hold the ball up. Whereas, Honeyman gets it now and it quickly releases it out to the wire player, and we're attacking and we're moving forward up the pitch. So I think it's a win-win, that one. Oh, I never thought I would say that before we got rid of Fleming, because I didn't want him to go, I'll be honest with you,
Be interesting to see. I can't imagine we'll reinvest some of the Fleming money in January. It's just not the right window.
Think so?
No, unless we're like in a relegation battle, I don't see us spending a lot in January, because I think it's just not the right window. No one really does, to be honest. It's not really that sort of window. But I think maybe in the summer, again, you'll see that strategy that's quite clear that we want to bring in younger players. I think we'll see that continue. But who knows?
With everyone fit at the moment, does Bradshaw get into this team?
No.
Where is he in the pecking order? I mean, what do you guys say? Because at the moment, I would put, Langstaff ahead of him. I'll put Ivanovic ahead of him. Watmore ahead of him. I just can't see how he'll get into this team.
Fourth for me. Honestly, I would rather have my. Well, no. Actually, I'll start again. So I still think, even though we've only seen him for probably 90 minutes in total, Josh Coburn would be my number one.
Of course, Coburn. I forgot about him as well.
He still would be.
Yeah.
I would then have, at the minute, Langstaff. And then I think, depending on what you're trying to achieve from the outcome of the game, would depend on whether I bring Ivanovic or Bradshaw on. If we're winning and you just want someone to chase and run the channels, I'll go with Bradshaw. Whereas I think Ivanovic is more of a goal threat. I know he hasn't scored yet, so you might think it's a bit of a stupid comment, but that's the way I would look at it. What do you think, boys?
I agree. It's difficult. It's difficult for Tom Bradshaw. I know he's been here a long time and he scored solid amount of goals for us in previous seasons, but it's difficult to see how he offers more than Coburn. I think Coburn offers more because of his height and his physicality. The exact same with Ivanovic because of his physicality, and I think Ivanovic is quite quick as well. I saw him have a burst of speed earlier in today's game. I think Ivanovic is quite quick, and you've got Langstaff as well, who himself is at the moment starting every single game, and I think he's better than Tom Bradshaw. So it's difficult for Tom. Although saying that, he has obviously been a very good servant for the football club and scored plenty of goals for us in previous seasons. But I think most people will agree. I think it's maybe slightly harsh, but I think his time is probably coming to an end at the football club.
See, I think the same, but I honestly feel like Neil would have him as second. I think if everyone's fit, it'll be Coburn, Bradshaw, and then it'll be Langstaff if we need a goal, or Ivanovic as and when he's ready. Neil's a when you're ready player. That's what he likes. He likes people when he feels they're ready. So, yeah.
But you know what? To George's point, you look at Langstaff, speed. He's got a bit of pace on him. You've got a decent touch. Ivanovic, I think he's got a good touch, good in the air. Coburn, good in the air. He's got some legs on him as well. What has Bradshaw got? Really, he's quite slow. He's not particularly fast. He's useless in the air. He's got a shit touch. I hope he doesn't see this, but
public apology.
Apology number 5. But do you see the point I'm trying to make? Like, you've got all these players available to when they're all fit. How on earth does Bradshaw get ahead of those players?
Trust him. I mean, it might be rubbish. He might not play him, but I just feel like with Harris, he knows what he trusts, and that's how he works. But Langstaff, I feel like he needs to hold up the ball a bit better. But that's just not his game. So if we can get him in the channels, he's class. So you just got.
He's not terrible though, is he?
Like I said earlier.
Paul?
No, but there was a couple of times today where he'd come to him, and I think he lost the ball straight away. He didn't keep hold of it and keep it safe, or even
Right.
like the shit fouls that you win as a striker.
Yeah.
But that's not me trying to piss on his parade. He's done a good job today. But I just feel like, once he adds that to his game, Ivanovic is going to be the knowledge of the English game. That'll be the excuse why he's not playing.
What did you guys? What did you got? You mentioned about Neil's friends and stuff that he trusts and whatever. What did you make the substitution of Denor going off instead of Saville earlier?
I think it's just fitness, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, that Saville's fitter than Denor?
Well, he took Saville off the other day, didn't he?
He took Saville off the other day, and Denor, I reckon, covers the most ground.
So he's resting Denor, or
I think he could just see that, because they have all these stats, right? Obviously, I don't know. I don't have these stats, but I reckon the computer told him that he's
slowing down.
That's, I don't know. That's my opinion, because you can tell Denor's the one that gets around the pitch a lot more than Sav. And that's not to critique Sav, but that's his role. So,
good point.
Right. I have a dinner date, so I need to get on to the next point. Sorry, chaps. Right. Opposition player of the month. Now, this one was interesting because this had a lot of different players vote. This person that won got 60% of the vote, but we had 2 votes for Chong from Luton, a vote for Tiedemann Mengi, also of Luton, and then a vote for Saito, the QPR, the Japanese winger. But the winner was someone that I genuinely think would excel at Millwall, to be honest, which was Michael Frey of QPR. Obviously scored the goal against us, but you take him out of the side and we'd have won that game because he put a lot of defensive work in. He won first contacts in the box from our free kicks and corners, was just a nuisance, worked really hard. He looks like a Millwall type player. I think most of you voted for him as well, lads. I'm just checking now.
Fuck him.
No, you didn't. You didn't.
No, strictly celebration. Fuck off.
Yeah, it was a strictly celebration.
I voted for him. I voted for him. I just felt that in that QPR team, in that game, I went to watch that one live. He was the difference, I think, for QPR. I think he was the player who gave them a fighting chance of getting anything out of us, to be honest with you. I think he led the line really well. He was a nuisance. He was physical. He uses his physical attribute to his best. He was a handful. He took his goal really, really well. People argue about Jensen could have done better, but I think he took it really well, finished it really well in the near post. And I think like what Chris said, I think I would love to see that type of player, someone like him in our team. If we could sign him, and they got him quite cheap apparently. Didn't they sign him from Switzerland or Sweden somewhere? I'm not sure where they got him from, but they got him somewhere for about 500,000, didn't they, from somewhere?
Is he not quite old as well?
30.
30. Oh, not too bad then. Not old.
Isn't it funny when you talk about a 30-year-old being quite old?
I know.
Yeah.
Well, the QPR bloke I know said he was a shit Lyndon Dykes before the game, so that didn't go well.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Well, Michael Frey,
definitely
someone that.
Did you vote for him, George?
I did. Yeah. So there's not really
think?
much more. Not really much more to add, which has been said. But yeah, handful, took his goal well. Probably like Chris said, Millwall type player. He definitely looks like a striker, which would suit us, wouldn't he? But yeah, I voted for him. Yeah, for me, he was the opposition player of the month.
Is Bailey's comment there about Frey? He'll be a fifth choice striker for us. Oh, this is the level. This is the levels we're at now, Chris. This is the levels we're at. You know,
we haven't scored a goal for 2 games, but yeah, we're.
But apparently, Michael Frey's fifth choice. Love it.
Right, and then our final category. And by the way, if there's any other categories that people think we should have, let us know because we will include them. But our final category was moment of the month. Now this one got 60% of the vote, so most of it. But I think one of the real moments of the month, I just want to congratulate Paul because within September as well, mate, your family became 5 and your wife gave birth to a little girl. So congratulations to you, mate.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, give yourself a pat on the back, Paul, for that hard work during that labour, mate. You know,
It was.
you really,
My
you really
was that at the
helped.
start. 5 minutes at the start, 5 minutes at the end.
Exactly.
That was my effort.
A bit like
But,
Jed Wallace
thank you,
today,
boys.
weren't it?
Yeah, and I got clapped off.
And you got clapped off as well by the midwife. Like, well done, Paul. Well done.
Yeah. Well played. But no, thank you. No, it was all good. Baby's well, mum's well, so all good.
Are you a modern dad, Paul? Are you doing like the breastfeeds?
There's no milk in my tits. No.
I see these people wearing like strap-ons, sort of like fake boobs and stuff, with milk in there to sort of give that maternal thing.
No, none of that.
None of that. Nappy changing?
Yeah, I think nappy changing and the winding and telling her about Millwall, all the important stuff. All the important stuff, mate.
Hopefully, you're telling her about. Well, no, actually, Paul. Real question here, mate. Has she subscribed to the channel?
She has.
Every subscriber counts.
She told me she liked it.
Good. I mean, that gives me an opportunity.
Is everyone else subscribed that are in the chat? I can't.
Well, this is it. That's
idea.
it, Paul. That's it. I wish you could tell that.
I'm learning.
But guys, please do subscribe if you can. Really helps us. Comments, likes, shares. Honestly, you've no idea how much it helps the YouTube algorithm. And obviously, all the adverts that you see, that is what pays us advertising revenue. And all of that advertising revenue goes directly to Cancer Research UK this season. So your subscription means a ton. So please do that. Moment of the month then. So a couple of honourable mentions. Honeyman's goal against Preston was a runner-up. That one was essentially his sort of, I think it was his first goal in 2 years. I think that's a stat that you put in, George, mate. So that's definite,
George.
Definite honourable mention. Joe loves it.
George has become like a little stato for us as well lately. His little stats. I love hearing those little stats when they come up.
He is, mate. He is. And also just a big shout out to George for doing the opposition view twice in the last couple of weeks. So well done, mate. I did actually say we should do a podcaster of the month award. But I got a tumbleweed from the group chat. So, George, you are the winner of that one, mate.
Really good.
The rest of them are useless. I'm only kidding. And then we also had SA's goal, which got a few votes. But the winner, by quite some distance, as I said, with 60% of the vote, was, of course, Langstaff's first goal in a Millwall shirt, which, to be honest, was offside, but we'll take it. Let's talk a little bit about Langstaff then. I honestly think if we play him in the right way, he is going to be a very good signing for us. But discuss.
Two things. Firstly, I think you made a good point earlier about the comparison between him and Vardy. I think Vardy's best season for Leicester is when he played in the front two when they won the Premier League. And I still believe that as Langstaff does try and do a good job for us as a lone striker, I think play him up with Ivanovic higher up the pitch, I think we'll see a different side of him. I think we'll see a lot more of him in that box area. And Paul, I think you mentioned it before that you sit in that lower.
The kids bit. The kids, I'll say the kids here.
And you mentioned about his celebration, didn't you? You said there was coming over to you. What's that
honestly, like a Cheshire cat. He just looks so happy. He just had a big smile on his face, and he comes across as such a likeable bloke. They all do, to be fair. I don't think we ever got a bad egg.
No.
But yeah, I was just so happy for him. It was like a proud dad moment. It's that sad that you're looking down at him, and he looked so over the moon and so relieved. So but buzzing for him, and hopefully that's the first of many.
You can tell what it meant to him.
Yeah, I would say I was buzzing for him. Obviously, I voted for Honeyman, but I think this was obviously definitely a close second in my head. I was sticking up for Langstaff for a while because he got a lot of stick after the Luton game where he missed the sitter. He was 1-1 and he missed the sitter, and he got a lot of stick online for that. And I was like, listen, you got to stick by him because I think Macaulay Langstaff is a confident striker, like a lot of strikers are. Once they get one, they start coming after that. And then he got an assist away at QPR, and then got a goal and an assist last weekend against Preston. So yeah, I was buzzing for him to finally get off the mark in the Millwall shirt.
I think one thing for me that really stuck out when he got that goal was all of his ex-clubs tweeted about it, and all of the fans of his ex-clubs to me, that just shows you the mark he's left at those clubs, and again, the human being that he must be. Maybe I'm reading too much into that, but I just thought that was a nice touch. How they wanted to see him do well.
Yeah. Well, it says a lot. Everywhere where he's been, the fans adore him, that they love him. I think I might mention before, there was fans of Notts County were going mental recently. Why we're not playing him? This is before he got in the team recently. But they were going. It was uproar. Like, they could not believe how the hell Lancaster's not playing. Yeah, that's how much they rate him. So I'm glad he's getting his minutes.
Yeah,
I know the XG's through the roof from our point of view this year, but we still don't really create a lot for our strikers, do we? No. So it's more like he's falling to your Watmores, your SAs, where we win the ball up high. Yeah, Honeyman. So
true.
If we can get him chances, I do think he'll do really well.
It's all that dynamic movement we do, Paul. At times our right backs, our left winger, and it's just that Harris football, isn't it?
That's it. Until we get a set piece, and then you have Honeyman and Saville arguing over which one's putting it into orbit.
How poor our deliveries from set pieces. I mean, forget about just like taking the chances, but just the quality of the balls coming today. Like towards the end, you got 5 minutes for the end. Honeyman's got a great opportunity to put a lovely ball in, and he misses everyone and goes out for a goal kick.
Cooper you see Cooper. Yeah, Cooper doesn't normally get animated, but he was absolutely fuming.
He was, yeah.
I just want to ask before we close out, I want to ask the viewers a question here. So I'm going to be on holiday for the Derby game, which means I can't do the post match. So viewers, who of the podcast would you like to step in and do the post match? I would love to see.
You do realise how big your bloody boots are, Chris. I think anyone that tries to do it, it's not an easy task for anyone, is it?
No, not at all. You'll be fine. I just wanted to see. I wanted to just, take the piss and just to see which one of you was gonna land it on a live show. But whilst I'm sure everyone's putting their votes in, Bailey's got a good point here.
I think what you should do, you should put a poll. You should put a poll up on X with the 4 likely people to do it, and let the fans decide, and whoever the pick has to do it.
All right.
If you don't want to do it, you have to do it. If the fans decide, if our listeners decide that they've got to do it, they have to do it. And that doesn't mean to say you could pick anyone you want.
Well, there's a vote for you, mate. So
you pick anyone other than me.
I feel like Joe's post match would last about 2 hours. That's the problem.
That's the thing. In my head, I think, you know what? I can't get past 10 minutes. But you're right. I'll probably waffle on for about an hour.
There you go, mate.
That's why you don't want to pick me. That's why you want to pick him instead, or him. Well, them two should do it together.
Yeah, could do. I mean, I could change a nappy while I'm doing it or something. Yeah, it's all good. you can tell my wife I'm going to be at Millwall, come home, and then be on this trying to re-record it 5 times to try and do as good a job as Chaps does.
Exactly.
I mean, it is at home, isn't it? So I suppose
if you convince Mr. Donovan, then we've got a shout. We've got a chance.
Right, lads, we're going to close out, but thank you all for coming on. It's been a really good free flowing. But any final thoughts from any of you?
Enjoy the break for me. Enjoy the break.
Yeah.
Hopefully get people back fit. Touch with SA and Sav don't get injured when they're away. And yeah, just get everyone back. See, I agree. Alex says you're right. Mr. Zampa all day. I think that's what
Disco Steve's
offered, isn't he?
There you go, Disco Steve. I think Disco Steve has put his name down for it. To be fair,
he has. Well, he said, like a little duo partnership. So
yeah. There you go, Disco Steve's in the mix. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be we're going to be climbing the walls, aren't we? By next weekend, I'm sure, with no Millwall. So the clean sheet today. We got a point on the road to West Brom. We would definitely have took a point before the game, wouldn't we, against West Brom away. Hopefully, in a couple of weeks' time, we get some players back, fitter, stronger. The rest, I'm sure, will do them the world of good. And we go again, and enjoy this fortnight off, guys. And hopefully, we'll see you very, very soon. Are we doing a live, Chris, next Tuesday? I don't know whether we need to do one or not with myself and the others.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think it's up to you boys if you
I don't know
want.
if there's much to talk about. That's the only problem.
Yeah,
Unless we have a
0-0 to
Tuesday off.
1-0 loss. It's a bit.
That's
it's
what
not
I'm
much to talk
saying.
about.
No,
Well,
exactly. Yeah.
hopefully, though, we've got hopefully, fingers crossed, we've got a nice show that hopefully will see the listeners through the international break, right?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
We're
Good.
working on something.
Don't say no more, Chris.
Say no more.
It's a secret.
Oh, Disco Steve's getting a lot of votes here, I tell you.
Yes. Go on, Disco Steve.
I think he's listening to this as well, so he's probably like, "Oh
I
God."
think he's in the chat. I'm sure I saw him earlier. Yeah.
Right, lads. Well, look, thank you once again for coming on. Enjoy the Poxy International break, and hopefully we'll have 1 or 2 shows for you to keep you occupied, and we'll see you when we're back. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.